All right, everyone, let's jump into these vocals. Let's see what's up. I'm gonna go ahead and mute the instrumental for a moment. Let's take a listen.
Take off my disguise. I'm living someone else's life. Suppress it.
So as you guys can hear, there's a lot going on. So let's just go through it one by one. There's no other way to do it. Let's walk through that first reverb reverse sound that we hear. And I believe that was triggered from this track. That's within this group called Backgrounds. Let's see what's up. There's a lot going on here. I'm gonna fly through it because you can hear what it's doing, you get the idea. Let's just fly through it real quick. I have a layer of it doing an octave. I have a layer that's dry. I have OTT. We're really pushing the mids and the highs, really controlling the lows. We got Denise the sweeper. Let's see how that looks. That's perfect. We got another one here for the low end. And then slowly opening up as the sound reduces in volume, so we get a little bit of that low end. Q3, you see how I'm carving it, a little bit of notches here. I don't know exactly what this was for, but it's there. We got the utility. We got a little bit of automation going just to help accent that rising feeling. This is followed with Shaper Box, just a touch of the mix at 22%, and it's pumping at half beat. That's followed by Sign Vibes' Blend multi-chorus. If you throw this down to 2 voices, I love it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 voices is tight too, but there's something about keeping it to the simplistic nature of just 2. This is what's going on with it. And this is followed by a whole lot more plugins. We got one from Mondo Mod. I used to use this plugin all the time, my God. I used to use this all over the trilogy. I use this on all backgrounds. I use this on anything that was stereo information. I wanted to get a little bit more from it, you know? So I don't feel like it's enough to just pan stuff and let it sit. I just want to hear it moving. Simple. This is what sounded best for this sound. We got a blend at 80 or 60 it is. And it's just helping create spatial, like a feeling of space moving. This is followed by an audio effect rack. We got Whirl. This is all sound design stuff, guys. This is all just carving out the right stuff for the right moment. Sound design. We got the Valhalla delay here. We got Q3 cleaning up the low end, rolling off some gentle stuff on the highs. We got utility. Again, we have this reverb on the post of it all. Let's hear that sounds without this reverb. Yeah, that's cool. With? See, that's beautiful. Long decay, 19 seconds. And this is ultimately all followed by Q3 rolling off some stuff on the top end. So that's that. Let's now jump to the lead vocal.
Take off my disguise.
Okay.
I'm living.
I'm gonna let this play out for a second.
Take off my disguise. I'm living someone else's life. Suppressing who I was inside. So I threw 2001s in the sky.
Okay, let's go see what that harmony is doing right here. One more time. Okay. We got this coming in here now.
Vegas, I feel
All right, let's go through this. There's a lot here. Let's start with the lead vocal. Now, this has been something I've been wanting to share with y'all forever, and I'm really happy to be doing it here today with Mix with the Masters. Let's jump through it step by step. When you're recording the vocals, make sure you're not clipping, number one. Secondly, what I love to do is I use the UAD sound card. I monitor directly from here, and you're able to monitor with auto-tune, and you're able to also compress or limit it so that when Abel or the artist is hearing back, it feels very controlled. But otherwise, the vocal and the way that I find works really well to record vocals, because so much of my work is traveling, we're never in the same spot. I think for the year that Abel and I worked together, we jumped around so many different studios that you could imagine, you know, not to mention all the work we've done previously, we're always on the go. So I find that the best thing to do, because we've tried, you know, getting the vintage crazy mics, we've tried getting with the hardware compressors and the hardware preamps, and it's not that that stuff's bad, that stuff's phenomenal, it sounds great, of course. But I don't know if it applies in the same manner as it does with what we're doing and with how remote we're working and how much we just move around in general. And so it's just best to keep everything going direct into the UAD sound card. Now, they have a ton of phenomenal preamps. Honestly, you can take your pick, they're all good. I personally really love the VoxBox from Manley. What I recommend for y'all is if you're tracking vocals, make sure the compressor's on, get the attack speed and the release right. I opt usually for a medium or medium fast release, and I opt for either a medium or medium slow attack, depending on the song and the tempo and the feeling. Actually, I leave the threshold as it is, and I really just control the input going into it. And I'm only looking for slight movements on the needle here, all right? Slight movements. I'm not looking for crazy 10-20. I'm looking literally for bumps hitting up to 1 dB, peaks around 3, 5, 7 dB at the very most, but I'm looking just for a healthy, you know, movement of the compressor here. And then I'm doing real time, we're listening to that reverb in real time, and on this secondary aux, I would put a delay. I find this to be the best setup when recording vocals for what I deal with in my experience.